Go ahead, Jax. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the share button. Let's get right into it. And this is Left Side of the Brain. You are now in tune to the realest channel on the planet, on YouTube, and throughout social media. Today I want to talk about 90% of communication is useless. Or should I say, 90% of talking is useless. Let's get in. Let's get into this, y'all. You see, you will realize in your life, think about it. Even most of the things that people say to you, you can't use it. You can't use it. It's useless. It's like going to the Chinese restaurant, right? And you know how they put all of the extra condiments in the to-go bag? They may put a handful of duck sauce, the mustard sauce. They may put 2 packages of plastic cutlery. They may put a whole bunch of napkins in the bag. And then you end up not even using it. You just throw it away. It becomes waste, junk. You end up not even using it. And they end up wasting product that they had to spend money on. And that's how this world is when it comes to communication. A lot of it just goes to waste. And your brain even knows that it's useless. That's why your brain only retains the important things that relates to survival. All of that other stuff, your brain, the insignificant things, your brain, it spits it out. It doesn't need it. It only remembers a person's face, important things. It forget about, I'm not going to say it forgets, but it places those little insignificant details about an event that you may have in your memory. It just places it to the side. If someone was to interrogate you about a crime or something, your brain will only recall the important things. But all of that junk material, your brain is not going to remember all of that. Not in a clear way anyway. That's how lawyers, when they interrogate people, that's how they able to trip people up. Oh, so you said you was here at 9:26, 5 minutes later. Okay, so at 9:36, you see they play on the weaknesses of the uselessness of certain information. And saying all of that to say, that's why it's important to conserve one's energy by just becoming an observer. That's why animals don't do a bunch of insignificant communication. When birds chirp, it's for a reason. They're not just chirping because they bored and they don't have nothing better to do. When you see ants moving about, everything they do, when you see an ant crawling around, they're not just saying, oh, I'm on a leisure walk, I'm just sightseeing. No, they doing something that is valid and important to survival. But in the HPB realm, we have been conditioned to engage in useless communication. And the reason why that is because they want us to waste time. You ever heard the saying, an idle mind is the devil's playground? That's why they want us to be idle and talking foolishly. That's why this world has so much entertainment, award shows, silliness, even being on Instagram all the time, Facebook, Twitter, and all of that stuff is nothing but useless communication. And what it does, it has you caught up in the program. Instead of creating your own program, they want you to be caught up inside of their program. That's what it's all about. That's why I open up this broadcast by telling you that this is the realest channel on the planet, because we deal with real information, not idle information, not useless communication. You see, you have to understand that useless communication, it doesn't get you anywhere. Befriending HPBs, it doesn't get you anywhere. A conversation with an HPB, it doesn't go anywhere. You see, communication, the origin and the reason for communication is related to survival. Think about it. That's the only reason why we talk. It's all about survival. So when you using your words outside of what they were created for, then you speaking curse words. That's why when you read the Bible, they got the words of Jesus written in red, right? Do you see any of his words? Do you see any jokes? Any useless information? No. All of it is purposeful. There's a lesson in everything. Now, I'm not saying that. Let me make this clear. I'm not saying you got to walk around a stiff neck. I'm not saying you have to, like, you can't joke or make, or have fun. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that shouldn't be the majority of your communication. And you shouldn't engage in too much communication with people that's telling you a lot of useless talking. That's what I'm saying. Because language was created for you to survive. That's the purpose of speaking. That's the purpose for all of your senses. All of your five senses: taste, touch, hear, see, and smell. They were created for you to survive. Now, as jaguars, you have an extra sense that goes along with those five senses. You got the sense of detection. You got the sense of detection. Being able to detect a soulless from one who doesn't have a soul. See, everybody don't have that sense. Now that's where the great divide comes into play. The soul versus the soulless, us versus them. See, we got that extra sense. You see what I'm saying? So your talking should be, it should reflect your having a soul. If your communication is just like their communication, then you one of them. That's why I was inspired to do this video today, because I was walking around and I noticed, I was like, you know what? I haven't uploaded a video in a couple of days. And I started feeling bored. And I said to myself, I got to reach out today, because I started to feel mundane and ordinary. You get what I'm saying? That's not a good feeling. That's a sign in itself that I have a soul. If you don't get tired of the mundane, something is not right with you. Get what I'm saying? You gotta feel uncomfortable. I mean, if you're not feeling uncomfortable with the mundane, then you soulless. So I had to do a video today. You know what I'm saying? And us as jaguars, right? We can't be looking at the world like them. You see, as jaguars, we can't be looking at the world like them. Our communication is all about survival. See, when you just talking meaningless while living in this HPB realm, you know what I equate that to? It's like being buried in a hole out in the middle of nowhere, and you screaming for help, but nobody hears you. That's what it's like when you are that's what it's like when you are participating in that 90% of useless communication. Nobody is listening. Nobody cares. It's not real. That's why they don't pay it too much attention. It's the dead communicating with the dead. You yelling out, but don't know how to express yourself. And it's like you in a hole screaming for help, but nobody hears you. Even though you yelling, nobody hears the yell. So you may as well just stay in that hole. I thought about this before. I was like, if you were buried in a coffin, if you was in a coffin and you was buried underground, would it mean anything to be yelling and screaming and banging on the coffin lid? Or should you just lay back, close your eyes, and just suck up the last amounts of oxygen and just die in as much inner peace as you can? Or would you scratch the lid of the coffin, bang on it, hoping that you're going to push all of the heavy pounds of dirt off of the coffin lid? I know that's a terrible situation to be in, and that's one of the most dreaded thoughts someone can have, being buried alive. Can you imagine that? That would have to be one of the most helpless feelings ever. Imagine you banging on a coffin lid, nobody hear you scream, help, and then you die panicking hyperventilating, and then it's over with. Your communication was it was useless because nobody heard it except for yourself. Of course, God, but God can read our heart. He don't need us to yell for help. He already knows when we need help. So in a situation like that, and I'm driving this home, I'm making a point. You would be in a situation where you would be just uttering useless communication. No one would hear it. It would be just desperation. And when you take that metaphor and you apply it to the HPB realm, when you don't have this information that we speak about, when you're not saying useful communication, it's the same as being buried alive. The HPB realm, it is a hole in the ground. The clouds above, that's just beautiful dirt. That's just beautiful dirt. That's the coffin lid, the clouds, the blue skies. When you don't have the keen understanding, you don't know what words to use, you don't understand that you in the HPB realm. If you a person like that, the clouds above you, that's just beautiful dirt. Like I said in the other video, space itself is an illusion that one is not in prison. But as that space closes in, then the more a person inside of a prison feels buried and claustrophobic. But as you expand the space around a person, they feel more free, even though mentally they still in chains. They still under the rules of the HPB realm. They still being used to benefit someone else above them. They being used as an energy. They being used by the energy vampires who run the HPB realm. You get what I'm saying? But just because these HPBs gave you space, and just because they're not telling you in prison, you feel free, because space is an illusion that makes someone feel like they are free. That's why in a zoo they put lions in habitats that make them feel like they still out in the wild, but in reality they in captivity. You see? So your communication, 90% of your worthless communication is no different than someone buried alive in a coffin, yelling and screaming, but you're not rattling the chains of the HPB rulers. So they're not hearing you. They only gonna be alarmed when you say something like left side of the brain saying. Then they're gonna say, this man, he may be in this world, but he not just banging on a coffin lid. He's saying something that can open up the coffin lid. Imagine being in a coffin lid and all it takes is one magic word, poof, to pop open the lid and to remove the dirt. That means all them other words that you were saying, you was just screaming and hyperventilating, not knowing that it took one word, one magical word to open up that coffin. And that's where a lot of people exist, in that state of being in a coffin, uttering out useless words that the HPB that the HPBs don't respect. They don't respect it. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? They don't respect it. Because they know what you're saying, it won't free you and it won't free anyone else around you. I just want y'all to marinate on that. Tell me what y'all think about it in the comment section below. And this is Left Side of the Brain. Like, share, and subscribe. And until we do this again, HPB's down, Jaguars up. This is Left Side of the Brain signing off.